All right, so it is December 21st, 2025, and here we are. So, yesterday was my birthday, and it's kind of wrapping up that chapter and reflecting before I continue. Um, I just want to thank God for being who He is and what He is in my life, and for me being where I'm at, still being here, Him waking me up another day, giving me another opportunity to grow, work towards becoming who I want to be as a man, as a father, you know, all of the roles, brother, uncle, nephew, friend, whatever. So anyway, I've been in just outside of New Orleans. So I'm in Covington, Louisiana. It's about a half hour, 45 minutes, depending on traffic. But I came out here just because I'm trying to do better. So I've been out here 4 days, and this is the second time I'm recording. The first recording didn't recorded about 20 minutes. And then I get a message on the phone talking about storage space and no video. So anyway, the next 2 days, so that was like the first day I got here. The next 2 days, I said I was gonna record, and then I just kept procrastinating, putting it off, then got sleepy, didn't do it. But anyway, in these couple days, I've really been thinking about just my direction in life, what I want to do, things that are important to me, and the changes that I need to make to get where I want to be and accomplish things I want to accomplish. And at the top of that list is really this, like telling my own story, recording my own journey, and people can take from it whatever they want. But it coming from me, not other people, and it being real. So with that being said, it sucked. It sucked, like spending my birthday by myself. And I think back to last year, shout out my friend Brent, because he does understand that I don't really know how to do this, and so he make it a point to try to help me celebrate my birthday. Now I went out of town, so that is what it is. But anyway, being out here, and I really didn't want to do anything. I wanted to try some places. I tried a couple places. One of them off Too Good to Go, and it was like the food was actually good, but it wasn't like, I don't know, like a culinary experience. It was good, like some at the crib type food, and it was so much, like it was a great value. But I want to try now. I got some banana pudding from that place. That was the thing that was disappointing, but again, great value. I spent $10, got two huge things, and I don't want to ramble about that. So anyway, then I tried another spot, got a crab cake, this like bread pudding, dessert, banana Foster's bread pudding. It was fire. Like it was crispy on the outside, just it was flavorful, but not too much, not too rich. So anyway, just having these experiences and doing it by myself. I went down to a couple of the Pelicans games. One of them, they was getting blown out. That's when they was playing the Rockets, and then one of them, they was winning against the Pacers by a pretty big lead when I left. But I just ain't feel like being down there by myself. If I'm gonna be by myself, I would have rather have been watching a record of Ragnarok. You know what I mean? I'm a simple person, but with that being said, is relationships friendships, family, romantic, like that's really the thing that I don't have in my life the way I want. Now I'm not where I want to be necessarily in other areas, but like I'm who I want to be in those areas. Like I feel like with my experience, with my desires, my mentality, so on and so forth, it makes sense for me to be where I'm at in other areas at this point, but not relationships. So that I really want to fix that. The most important one at this point in time for me to repair is my relationship with Aaliyah. So this will kind of probably be if I can process how I want to move forward and why it's important for me to do it the way that I'm going to try to approach it right now. And that'll probably change just like everything else. If nothing else, the biggest thing I've learned in the last 2 years, and I say the last 2 years because the last 2 years are really the 2 years I've been trying to figure out life, like not survival, but who I need to become, to put the things in place to live the type of life that I want to live, as well as provide the type of life I want to provide for the people that I care about. So, I mean, I'm 43, so I ain't started doing that until I was in my early 40s. Not that I didn't think about it, but I didn't like experiment, do research. Like I just kind of went through life not having the goal in mind, just kind of being in the present. In the last couple of years, I've really been trying to figure out, what do I enjoy? What do I want to do? What is important? What has real value? So on and so forth. What do I not want to deal with? What am I not willing to deal with? Where the areas that I need to implement, not just research now. So I do feel like this upcoming year is I'm gonna make more progress than I made the last couple of years. The last couple of years, I made a lot of progress mentally, emotionally, psychologically, however you want to look at it. But I feel like I've also made incremental progress in other areas. But now I'll start to, see the fruit of the investments. Right, this is where it start to show. So my health obviously is number one. Somebody wouldn't think that looking at me, right? So that needs to change, but not because of people seeing me, but because what I look like is the result of what I'm doing. So I figured out what I need to do. And now it's kind of putting a routine in place, because that is the biggest thing. So this might be a long time. And this is for me, like more than anybody else. Do I hope some other people see this and at least get an understanding to potentially help us either repair or establish relationships? Yes. But ultimately, this is for me to hold myself accountable, because I do go back and listen to my videos. Like, I'm not going to say I don't care if nobody else does, but like, I hope my kids will. If nobody else, I mean, I really hope my family will in general. Because I don't think a lot of my family members really understand me or know me as well as they think they do. And that's, partially my fault, because it's certain things that I just don't feel like talking about with them, because I don't like the way they communicate. And I don't want to like have those conversations, because I know it's going to be a negative experience for me. And I'm trying to minimize that because I do want to have better relationships with my family. So I'm trying to do my part. This is the best way I know how, for me and everybody else, because it's there anytime that they want to access it. And if it's that important, I mean, I put the effort in to record and put it out there. So, if they can't watch it, then that in itself is kind of, establishing how important it is for them to understand or repair or maintain or develop a relationship with me. And if it's not, then I mean, again, I did my part. I'm doing my part. So it's for me and everybody else. And I really do just want to get better at communication. Obviously, I just said health is first. I want to live a long time, but I also want to live a good life. If I had to choose between the two, I'd rather live a good life. That's why I think about my dad a lot, because he did pass relatively young. I think about my Uncle Keith, my cousin Nikki, a lot of people that you would say are gone too soon. Like, yeah, my grandfather had the influence he had on me, but it's not like, oh man, I got cheated or shortchanged. Same thing with my grandma, but like people who pass early, then it is some elements of looking at, potentially what was missed. And also a reminder of how we not promised a certain amount of time. So I need to make the most of my time. So this is trying to do that. And it's been challenging because I don't necessarily want to say embarrassed, because I'm not. Disappointed. Yes, I'm very disappointed in who I was in the past. The reason I say I'm not embarrassed is because I'm not that person. And really thinking about why I was that person, I can understand why I was that person, and I understand why I'm not that person. And anybody else who want to understand, then hopefully this will help. Not just this video, but the entire thing, because this is what motivated me to not procrastinate this morning, because I went for my walk and I was already thinking I'm gonna make a video. And initially the video was just gonna be about, because it's just for me, what my day needs to look like, right? So I could actually talk this out. Now I don't know, I bought a case of notepads from Sam's to write notes, but I didn't bring any. So it's like, I wanted to sit down and kind of write out what that would look like. All right, let me get out of here. Did my prayer. Crystal called me in the middle of it. I kind of, do I want to answer the phone or finish? I'll finish, because I do not want to neglect that, right? So I believe it's 1 Thessalonians 5:17. And I'm like, I can't say what I will or won't be. I will say this at this point, I'm not that person that really be quoting scriptures. I know that one because it's pray without ceasing. And that's really where my head is at. Like, regardless of how people feel about religion, I feel like it's certain elements of religion, faith, spirituality, manifestation, whatever you want to call it, because I do believe it's all the same. And anybody who take that, whatever, like it is what it is. I believe in God, but I also believe not just in the concept of God, but the power of God and God as a father. And man, he ain't trying to make your life hard, man. And he ain't trying to make my life hard. We make our lives hard, just like our kids. I'm sure, again, we want them to listen and try to, but they got to go through it. And it's the same kind of dynamic. So what you choose to believe is only as important as if you choose to apply the stuff that you need to do to be successful, regardless of where it came from, right? If it's important to be responsible and disciplined, et cetera, then if you got it at home, you got it at home, but you got it. If you got it from the military, you got it from the military, but you got it. If you got it from Boy Scouts, you got it from Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or ROTC or band camp or wherever you got it from. It matters that you got it. That's how I feel about faith, right? You know, it matters that you got it. It matters that you understand, you know, that's the core, the faith, the belief. Confess with your mouth, believe in your heart. So that applies to prayer, manifestation, whatever. Like, that's what it is. So that's my position on it. I might go in more detail later, but it is. So that's important to me to pray. And I pray the majority of the time, and I'm trying to turn that into all of the time. So in that situation, it was like, nah, I'm not going to interrupt this. Let me finish praying. I'll talk to her later. Then it was same thing with doing my walk. That's something I need to do every day. Let me get out of here. And while I'm on the walk, I'm processing what I need to record. So how we got here is I'm thinking about that. And I went from like recording what I need my day to look like for me to, you know, why I've realized those things are important, to how did I get where I'm at, to how can I help my daughter, my oldest daughter, Aaliyah, to how can I be what I need to be for her right now, and how can I provide her with the best benefit for the stage of life that she's at, as well as, you know, something that's not going to be too heavy. So I'm out here by myself, and I was like, it sucked me by myself, but it would have been cool if Aaliyah was here, because we could have done some stuff. Again, not be too heavy. We ain't got to whatever, but maybe we could have just enjoyed ourselves, and I would have really enjoyed it, and she would have enjoyed it. And at least, if nothing else, you know, it'd be a positive memory. So I start thinking about inviting her to, you know, join me on some vacations. If nothing else, like, don't come out here with the younger kids. I don't need her to be a babysitter. Just, you know, just see stuff, just experience stuff that's gonna be memories for her when I'm gone, as far as our relationship, but also be things to expose her and give her opportunities to see stuff that I didn't have, so that she can benefit earlier. Because like, I am benefiting a lot from traveling right now, but I just started traveling in my 30s and 40s. She can do that in her teens, and I want to provide that for her. Yeah, does it benefit me? Yeah. So that's what I really started thinking about. And when I started thinking about how to break down and express this to her, it kind of led me to why I want what I want for her, and how to try to get her to understand where I'm at. And then that went from there to why am I where I'm at, which that went back to my dad. And then, so here we are. It's like me in the middle between what my dad was and wasn't, to what I am and am not, and what I want to be, to what I need to provide my daughter, and what she needs to get, what I want for her. So that's kind of all it is. So because my dad wasn't a good dad, and when I say he wasn't a good dad, I think about my life. I don't have a memory of my dad prior to Michigan. Like, I remember, and that's not to say he wasn't around at all, but it's just I don't have a memory of him. I have memories of like cousins and, you know, family members, my great grandparents, Big Mama and Bug. I have memories of them. My Uncle Keith, my Uncle Glenn, Pumpkin, Trevor, Devin, Crystal, Mooka. I can't say I have memory of Courtney from like when we was young. Like, before we went to Michigan. And I'm really trying to think, like, I have memories of all these, but I don't have memories of my dad, my godfather, Johnny B. I got all of these memories of all these other people, and I won't say all of, but I have memories of these other people. I have memories of freaking TV shows, songs, things from that I know are from that period because it was at the house we had on Warren, 5715 Warren. That's the first place I remember living. That's the first address I ever remembered. Whatever, I remember us going down the street to the little corner store, Mr. Bob's, and all of this stuff. But I don't have a single memory of my dad. And even when I say that and I'm trying to bring one, it's like I might have a shadow, a whisper of a memory, but I really don't have a solid memory of my dad until we were in Portland. And then I don't have a lot. I remember, I know I was around him, in Portland. I have memories of him when we stayed at the trailer park in Lansing. And that's when, and I don't remember him living with us, on Daleford. I just remember that's me having memories of disappointment from when we lived on Daleford, but I think he lived down the street within a couple miles, and I still never saw my dad. So, I fly across the country for my kids all the time. I don't feel like I should have to, but I'm willing to and able to, and that's a priority. So even if I had to sacrifice something else, I would do that, and I made sure I put myself in a position to do that because I don't want to be like my dad. So what is like my dad? My dad was a drug addict. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad was abusive physically. My dad was arrogant. My dad was irresponsible, which, I think obviously, I feel like that ties back to the drugs. But my dad was also intelligent. I don't know how ambitious he was. I don't. But I know he was capable. Everybody always talked about, my dad being intelligent and having all of this potential. My dad was like, my dad was a fighter, right? And I mean that literally. It's so many stories I heard from my older cousins, and uncles, aunts, like everybody about when my dad was young. Like, I don't know if he had little man syndrome, but he was always fighting, and he was a good fighter. My dad he was a man who commanded respect from other men. I never saw nobody disrespect my dad or my dad bow to another man or whatever. Saw, and people told me these things. But ultimately, what my dad told me and what I didn't necessarily it just didn't sit right with me. Like him trying to take credit for like everything good about me and my brother and my sister. But my dad was proud. My dad was proud of his kids. And even if he felt like he wasn't a great father, he did feel like he contributed to his kids being who we are and being in the positions we were in, because he did feel like he made the sacrifices and got us out of St. Louis so we didn't have to grow up in that environment and so on and so forth. And I don't want to argue about whatever the reasons was. My mom said it was primarily, her wanting to go to Michigan so we would get to know my grandfather, which I'm glad that we did. But kind of back to my dad. My dad was a lot of things, good, bad, whatever. My dad was annoying at times. Probably the worst. Well, I won't even say probably. Worse than the drugs, alcohol, abuse, abandonment, whatever. My dad was a child molester. And I was told stories at different stages of my life from different people that just kind of blew my mind that this was kept from me. So as bad as or as as much of a disappointment as I may be to my children, I know I did everything I could to make sure that they didn't have the type of childhood I have, that they wasn't wondering why they didn't matter and why I wasn't there, and they wasn't molested, and they may feel like they was abused, but I've never hit my kids with an extension cord or a shoe or whatever. And that's not to say, I'm just saying, I tried to do better than what was done for me. I tried to provide my kids with the trust that they were going to be honest, because I didn't get that, and that really traumatized me. So I try to do better, and I think I did better, but I still didn't do great. So, but it's important. I came from somewhere and I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm in the middle, but hopefully I could be the bridge from my parents to my kids to have a better life, to go through life having better experiences, better health, better resources, better relationships, all of that. So Aaliyah is my oldest, and when I think about whatever I accomplish and whatever point I leave, most of the things I do go back to my kids. So just thinking about what I need to be and the example I need to set, and all of that, that's really what I worked around to through all those different thoughts. And here I am. So with all of that being said, if I want to accomplish what I need to accomplish as, first and foremost, a child of God, legit, I do want to help people, whether that's my family, friends, veterans, whatever. So this is something else I was thinking about when I was walking. I have certain memories of certain people at different times expressing certain things to me that I felt like really maybe at the time confused me, but ultimately stuck with me for me to try to process why they said that and what does it mean, if it's something they see that I don't see, if it's something that I should be dismissive of or something I should lean into. So my dad, I think my dad always expressed to me that I could be anything and do anything that I set my mind to, that I'm more than capable or whatever. Like, I don't have this, fairy tale moment where we had this deep conversation. Just throughout my life, that's always something that he reinforced, as well as my mom. But Devin, more than anybody, like, well, let me not say more than anybody. Devin, probably the earliest, right? Because I had to be around 20. And I don't remember this, but he shared with me, we was having a conversation and he thought I was crazy because, I told him I'm God and whatever. And then I guess I went to this thing about how, God is in us and I don't remember this conversation at all. What I remember, because I remember some I shared with him, what I remember was I read him this poem that was called 8 Deadly Sins. These are the things that were significant to me. That poem, because it was probably the deepest poem I ever wrote, which I plan on rewriting now. And this portrait, whatever, I drew of Tay. But anyway, I remember Devin telling me that the calling on my life was higher than the calling on his, that he felt like, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just what I took away from it was the calling on his life was to be a teacher versus the calling on my life was to be a minister. Now I ain't want to hear that. And I wasn't just told that by Devin. I was told that by, as far as the ministry thing. So again, these are moments that stand out to me. And then, I remember being told that at different stages of my life by different people in church. But again, Devin. So that stood out. I remember disappointing myself with the situation with Crystal, which was potentially the beginning of a shift, but it was a long journey. I think I'm there now, but I'm not sure because I don't find myself in those situations. I try to avoid them, so I can't necessarily, I don't know. I think I'll say this. I can't say this. I'm a lot less likely to be triggered to do or say something that I'm going to regret, regardless of what anybody else do now. And that wasn't the case when I was younger. So one of the moments that showed me that I needed to change was with my sister. And at the time, like, I don't know if we had a friendship. I felt at the time I had a responsibility. I don't know where that came from. I can speculate that at least at that time, like the relationship that modeled what a little brother was supposed to be was primarily my Uncle Keith with my mom. I didn't really see it anywhere else. Not like that. Like that's, so I think, again, me and Crystal relationship kind of followed that path. But at the time, we were still young. We were teenagers. I was going through a lot, had a lot of anger issues, resentment, so on and so forth. And I didn't have self-control. So I would lash out when I felt disrespected. So the situation with Crystal, that was kind of like a red flag, because it's a video about it, but real quick, like we had to get together. She made me mad and I smashed some pizza in her face. Again, it's it's not something I'm proud of, but it's part of whatever. Um, what else? Because I'm really trying to think of the things that stood out enough to shape me or still be relevant. One memory, literally one memory with my Uncle Will, which was the same thing. Him telling me that I had a talent that I shouldn't waste because he had saw some of my poetry, some of my lyrics or something. I remember my dad attempting to do that, but it was a funny situation. Like I had wrote out because I was trying to learn some lyrics. That's when Busta Rhymes first came out, and it was Woo Ha. So I wrote out the lyrics so I could learn them, but he thought I wrote them, and that was whatever. But I got all these little different scenarios of things that stood out. That even at 43, I still remember these things. So I also try to be mindful of what are the things that are gonna be these memories for my kids. And with Aaliyah specifically, I want to have some better memories, not just the ones we have. I hope we got some good ones. I tried to invest in a lot of that, but I also know as an adult, a lot of the things that my parents felt like were very meaningful or potentially were meaningful to my parents aren't things that I held on to. So I know that there's a lot of potential for that. That it was things that I was trying to do that was a priority to me, that was important to me, but may not necessarily have been impactful to them. It was a period of time where I used to alternate weekends and take each one of my daughters on a daddy-daughter date and go out to eat, go to the movies, whatever. Now, it wasn't a super long time that I did that, but I did that. I tried to do the dance games with them and whatever, but a lot of times, I think that stuff was fun. I don't have memories of bad experiences with that stuff. And I think, I hope they remember that. But I feel like, they probably have bad memories of stuff that I wanted to do because I wanted them to learn to play spades and all of this stuff. And then I was always barking. I mean, so I know my kids got some negative experiences, but I hope they remember the positive ones too, because like I did that stuff. I played the games with them. It whether it was pretending to eat in tea time and all of that. I did that. I ain't never let them put no makeup on me or nothing like that. But I did a lot of stuff with my girls when they was young, and I hope that it has some value to them. But I also know that I don't remember all that stuff my mom be talking about doing homework and this and that. I remember the lesson with the pineapple upside down cake. That's unfortunately I remember being terrified she was gonna kill me because hearing whatever that was on the other side of that wall with her and Crystal getting a whooping. I remember not understanding at the time, but walking in on her and my dad having sex. I didn't see nothing. They was under the covers, but just how they responded made it a big deal. And I didn't even know what sex was at the time. I mean, whatever. But all these little different memories I have, and I, wonder what memories my kids will have. And I hope that I can provide them with some good ones going forward. And I mean, my dad gone, and I still see his impact on me. All the bad stuff about what he did, who he was, it doesn't dismiss the good stuff. The good stuff doesn't erase the bad stuff. He was a human. I'm a human. I hope, I can do more good than bad. And I hope that I had the opportunity to do that. But yeah, at 43, the version of Clarence Young Jr. at 43 is what I got to worry about, not at 28 or 35 or even 44. Like, so this year, that's the focus. So I hope that I can take some vacations with Aaliyah in 2026. Of everything that I said, ultimately, that's what it ended up boiling down to, is say that I'm not gonna die no time soon. But this year I need to, this year for me is 43, right? Like everybody else, New Year's is New Year's, but like this, my year, my birthday just passed. So this is a new year for me. So at this age, my priority is to spend more quality time, positive quality time with Aaliyah. And I hope she allows me to do that. And, I'm going to do my part. So I'll reach out. Maybe she'll watch this soon. Maybe she'll watch it years from now. But, Aaliyah, everybody else still matter. Lily, the twins, Sophia, Micah, like all those relationships still matter. But if I have to prioritize one relationship to invest in, to repair or fix, and everybody can see this, it is what it is, because I do want to repair all of them. But if it's one that's the priority, it's Aaliyah right now this year. So obviously I still gotta prioritize myself, my health, and everything else. But after that, if it's a relationship, it's Aaliyah. So that's what I got out of this. And I'm a really work on, one, becoming the best version of myself, but also hopefully exposing Aaliyah to that, so that she can start seeing who I am, and creating some positive memories for her and our relationship. She did express to me that that's her desire, just as much as she expressed to me she don't want to deal with me. So hopefully we'll figure it out. But that, more than anything, me talking through it really, really this year, that could help me the most, that could help her the most, and that will be the most beneficial thing at this point. So this is how we start the year off. I'm gonna hold myself accountable, do this. As always, try to keep God first. I am still gonna do what I said, as far as make the video about, what I need to start incorporating in my daily routine to get where I want to be. But as far as a priority, as far as a goal, my goal for this 44th year, because they're 43 years. So this is 44. My goal for my 44th revolution around the sun is to get in shape, to get healthy, not just in shape. I mean, again, not just what I look like, how I feel, how my body operates, so on and so forth. To get out of debt, all debt, to invest in, spend as much quality time with the people I care about, and hopefully start to repair my relationship with Aaliyah and start creating some positive memories. Ideally, by us interacting on neutral ground, which will be doing some vacations together. I'll reach out to her, ask her some places she want to go, and stuff she want to do, and try to do that with her. So if nothing else, Hopefully that will, allow her to at least experience some of the things that she wants to do. And yeah, so that's what it is this year.